Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about buying my first property at the age of 23. What were the mistakes I made and would I do anything differently? So I bought my first property at the age of 23 when I was an intern or junior medical officer working in New South Wales Health. And basically at the time, starting salary about 60k, a tiny bit more with overtime. So, income while healthy, it wasn't huge, and basically I needed to make the most of my income and the deposit I had saved up to be able to purchase the right property with the right tenant, not make a mistake on my first step, and to be able to continue to grow my portfolio. Definitely it's something I'd been thinking about for a long time, even when I was studying, but obviously without a full-time job, hard to execute. So I've already done, preparation, listening to podcasts, reading all sorts of books I could lay my hands on in regards to property investing, especially Australian focused ones, and basically, looking at some forums and learning as much as I could from a wide variety of sources, so I could identify the strategy that identified with me the most. So at the time, I could see that Sydney was peaking or just peaked, and also due to my borrowing power, affordability, it was hard to purchase something for my budget in Sydney at the time. So therefore, I looked towards other markets around Australia, and Southeast Queensland I thought was undervalued. So I did further research with these property forums and interviewed a few different buyers agents. As a first-time investor, not much experience, and also buying interstate, I wanted to use the expertise of a professional, leverage their skills and their knowledge to be able to help me on my journey. So let's look at some numbers. So I decided to go for a build in an infill suburb. The land was about 340,000. The build was 225,000. So in for it for a total cost of 665,000. So initially we're looking at some kind of existing older houses. However, this opportunity came up near the coast. There were a few select blocks of land being released. And a few had already been snapped up. I could see, neighbouring suburbs were substantially more with gentrification and the ripple effect. I agreed with the buyer's agent that this was a good opportunity. I'll talk more about ripple effect and gentrification in a future video. Identified this opportunity. Now the plan was initially for, the land was not yet titled, basically not yet registered with the government, with the council. The developer had already connected, leveled the land and connected the sewerage, etc. Initially, it was going to be about a couple of months for the land to be registered and about 3 months for the house to be built. However, there were some delays with the land being registered, and then in the end, from the date of when I was going to purchase to when it was finally built and tenanted, was actually about a year. I guess the silver lining was that I only had to pay interest on the land component at the time, and also I only had to pay stamp duty on the land component. So in terms of the build, obviously it was a bit more involved. Architects drawing up the plans. We went for a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, double lock-up garage, which this suburb was mostly kind of 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom, older style homes. And there was an issue initially because council declined the initial plans because they needed the backyard boundary to the fence to be a certain dimension, essentially needing a larger backyard. So back to the drawing board and needing to submit new plans. So this was also a cause of the delay as well. But look, in the end, I visited as it was finished, good quality, a few minor issues that the building inspector picked up and the builder rectified. There was a bit more of an extra cost in terms of the land turned out to be not as even as it was, so needing some retaining walls, which were shared costs between the neighbours. Yeah, it was a little bit annoying at the time. But one lesson I learned through this is having the big picture in mind. Why am I investing in the first place? So it kind of puts all these challenges and issues in the time in perspective. There was some difficulty renting out initially, as there was no aircon in the master bedroom. There was an aircon in the living room. Negotiate with the tenant, you know, installing the aircon. They were happy to pay $20 extra a week. You know, basically trying to sort out a win-win between yourself and the tenant. You know, without a tenant, you know, don't have an income stream and can't continue investing, so need to make them happy. Yeah, Queensland aircon, I guess, is a must. What are some takeaways I learnt? I took advantage as a doctor, healthcare professional, 90% loans with no LMI. Not just doctors, but also, I believe, nurses, accountants, lawyers can be eligible. Obviously depends on the bank, so talk to your mortgage broker or your bank to see what they can do for you. Number two, just because it's new doesn't mean it's free from defects. All properties, you know, you have to expect and budget for maintenance. In general, you know, older properties have more maintenance. And number three, Queensland, different to the southern states, aircon is a high priority. Now, anything I would do differently, it would have been nice to have a larger block of land, which this suburb had more of. You know, also, one thing I learnt is the land appreciates in value while the buildings depreciate. Now, in this case, the land to asset ratio was still not too bad, about 60%. So, you know, I was able to still get good capital growth in the last couple of years, and also good rent and some rent growth as well. You know, even though there were some setbacks as I identified, you know, I kept pushing and I kept the goal in sight, which is building up asset base and then passive income as well. So basically, I took these lessons on board for my second purchase, which I'll talk in a future video below, where I implemented my learnings and grew my portfolio. So this was my first step on my property journey. I hope you found that a bit helpful. I would like to learn about, you know, what was your first property purchase. Leave a comment below. You know, subscribe to learn more about my investing journey, and also I'll be sharing more tips for doctors and healthcare professionals on how to build investment, build an asset base, and go towards the goal of passive income. See you guys in the next video.